So I've been wondering, what is the Houston Texans' plan? But I think these two signings, Dalton Schultz and Devin Singletary, they give us an idea into what the Texans are building this offseason. These two signings indicate where they're going to go with the second overall pick and how they want to build their team for this young quarterback. Now, my guess is that these two signings are building for Bryce. We've already seen the Houston Texans earlier this offseason trade for Shaq Mason, a man that I'm very familiar with as a Patriots fan. Love me some Shaq Mason. And when you look at the Texans' offensive line, they may have the most underrated offensive line in football entering 2023 with a ton of size, a ton of power, and they also signed up Laramie Tunsil long-term at the left tackle position. They don't have a half-bad right tackle, and they spent a first-round pick on a right guard last year. So clearly, this team has been putting resources into the offensive line. Why are they doing that? They are doing that to protect their young quarterback. And the quarterback that most people are unsure how he may handle pressure, how he may handle the transition to the NFL game, is certainly Bryce Young due to his size. And this is a guy, of course, with the magical ability to create his own time behind the line of scrimmage. And I see where they're going now. Now these two signings come in. Dalton Schultz signs a 1-year, $9 million contract. It's worth up to $9 million, not exactly the full details just yet. But Dalton Schultz, for a lot of people, was the number one tight end available in free agency this offseason. And that's because of his production with Dak Prescott the last 3 seasons. Over the last 3 seasons, Dalton Schultz has 198 catches. He has 17 touchdowns with Dak Prescott, Cooper Rush, and the Dallas Cowboys. He remains in the state of Texas and will play for Houston on a 1-year deal. Potentially, if he plays well, he will fit the future of the Texans offense. Why do you sign Dalton Schultz? Dalton Schultz, where he is really good, is he provides a tight end to this new offense that is going to be very much 49er based, right? So when you look at the 49ers offense under Kyle Shanahan and you look at Miami's offense under Mike McDaniel, there's a reason that the Dolphins didn't re-sign Mike Gesicki. It's because he doesn't block, right? George Kittle is a guy who might be the best blocker in the NFL at the tight end position, who's also a great receiver. So Dalton Schultz is somebody that's very balanced. He can block, he can catch, he's a good, well-rounded tight end. He can affect the game in line as a traditional tight end. So that's first and foremost. He is not a weakness in the running game, and the Texans will want to run the ball, especially with a rookie quarterback. Dameon Pierce is a stud, and now you bring in Devin Singletary. More on him later. But Dalton Schultz, what is he also good at? He is very good in the underneath areas of the field. He's excellent at finding holes in the zone. He's excellent at sitting down in zone coverage and just finding that soft spot and then catching the ball for a few yards. He's not an excellent yards after catch threat, but he's probably one of the highest IQ tight ends in all of football. And that matches perfectly, especially with a guy like Bryce Young. And you want your rookie quarterback, whoever it may be, to have a security blanket underneath that he can go to, that he can rely on, especially on third down and especially as a chain mover. Dalton Schultz is going to catch a ton of passes in this offense. Not only that, they signed Robert Woods earlier this offseason, a similar kind of player at the wide receiver position who excels in the short and intermediate levels of the field, who has a ton of experience, who's really good at reading coverages and finding spaces in zones. That's another guy that can eat inside this offense. You also have John Mechie, who's coming back from injury, who was drafted last year, who I liked a lot in the draft. We'll see how he develops, but Nico Collins is more of a vertical threat. So you're trying to find guys that are going to fit your quarterback. And Noah Brown, a teammate of Dalton Schultz, is very similar to that as well. Excelled with Dak Prescott for very similar reasons. Out of the slot, good underneath, smart player, all those things. None of these guys are alpha dog receivers. None of these guys are number one threats who are going to force a defense to double. None of them are just ridiculously talented. But quite a few of them are smart, and quite a few of them know what they're doing, especially when facing coverages. So they're going to be on the same page with rookie quarterbacks and make it easy on rookie quarterbacks. And you're going to have an offensive line that's going to provide this guy time and that can run the football. So I see the plan here. Dalton Schultz, I think for 1 year, $9 million is a great contract. The thing that I was concerned about with Dalton Schultz was a team overpaying him long term, because I feel like Dalton Schultz is a quality, solid tight end. He's a good tight end. He's probably a top 10 tight end in football, but he's not extremely talented. He's not amazing from a physical standpoint. He doesn't run very fast. He's not super quick. He doesn't separate with the best of them. He's not a physical specimen, jump balls, all that. What he is good at is basically from the brain. He is savvy. He is smart. And he has very soft hands. And for whatever reason, he just always found a way to get open, especially versus zone coverage, and had a great rapport with Dak Prescott. Very easy receiver to relate to if you're a quarterback. The last 3 seasons, he's caught 63 passes in 2020 as a 24-year-old tight end. 25, he caught 78 balls for 808 yards. And this past season, he caught 57 for 577. That is pretty good numbers for a tight end in today's age, and especially those 78 catches last year. I feel like, though, as you can see, he doesn't convert those catches into a lot of yards. He's a short to intermediate threat. And I think he'll work within this offense. I think he wasn't going to be paid more than what he was paid by the Texans because he's not physically amazing. He doesn't run fast, all that stuff. He's not huge. So the Texans may have a steal on their hands just because people may underestimate the skill set that he actually brings to the table. So I think it's a savvy signing. I didn't predict the Texans to sign Dalton Schultz. Didn't come first to mind, but it does make sense given where they want to go. The second signing they made was Devin Singletary. Devin Singletary, I've had a love and hate relationship with his game. I feel like he's been developing into a better player as of late. I don't feel he is a lead back in this league at 5'7", 200 pounds, but he's a solid running back, and he's had plenty of success with the Buffalo Bills. Last year, he rushed 177 times for 819 yards. That's 4.6 yards per carry and 5 touchdowns. He hasn't been the greatest receiver in the world. I feel like the Bills have kind of force-fed him targets because they haven't found that complementary third down, shifty running back out of the backfield for Josh Allen quite yet. Maybe that's James Cook. But Singletary has played that role for them in the past. He's caught 38 passes last year, caught 40 passes the year before, 38 the year before. In the last 3 years, he's been pretty much the primary back for the Buffalo Bills, rushing for 4.4 yards per carry, 4.6 yards per carry, and 4.6 yards per carry. He has 2 800-yard seasons under his belt. So the guy has produced, and he's been pretty efficient in the Bills' running scheme, which isn't super great, right? A lot of what makes it is their threat from Josh Allen, on top of he's a mostly zone blocking running back. He's got good vision. He doesn't have great burst, but he is very good at breaking tackles. And somebody that I would relate him to within this scheme would be somebody like Jeff Wilson. Not super electric in the open field, but he's hard to take down. He's got really good vision. He's more efficient than you would think. And he also has maybe a better skill set to catch the ball than you would think. So he can do a little bit of everything, but you don't want him to be your lead back. So I think he's a nice complementary piece to Dameon Pierce, who's probably going to be their lead guy all day long for the Texans, but he can spell him and he can be efficient in those areas. So I like both moves, and I feel like they're an upgrade across this depth chart, certainly an upgrade at tight end, and I do think a nice little Devin Singletary doesn't hurt as well. He's still pretty young, probably about 27 years old entering this season, so I like both signings. Devin Singletary went for 1 year, $3.75 million. Dalton Schultz, 1 year, $9 million. Texans fans, let me know what you guys think. My idea is that they're building for Bryce here, adding depth to the running game in order to give him a threat out of the backfield, in order to take the pressure off of him. And then at tight end, a nice security blanket, a nice safety valve to count on, especially in clutch down situations, which Dalton Schultz has been the best friend of Dak Prescott for the last 3 years. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. It's Mitch. Thank you so much for watching. Gronk, spike the like button, and we'll see you in the next video. Peace.